Let me ask you something. What really makes a man strong? Is it muscles? Or is it money? Or is it status? But the truth is, the world today isn't short of men. But the world is truly lacking is a strong men, a men who can control their emotions, and men who take responsibility. And here's the truth that most people are afraid to say out loud. Weak men are not born. They are created by habits, a small daily choices repeated again and again. And the habits you follow today may seem small and harmless, but they are quietly shaping the man you will become in 5 years from now. Because every action you repeat is slowly building your character or slowly weakening it. So in this video, I'm going to break down 10 habits that separate weak men from strong men. And these are not trendy life hacks you see on social media, but these are deeper patterns of thinking, behavior, and discipline that determine whether a man becomes someone respected or someone constantly ignored and overlooked. And make sure you stay until the end, because the last habit is the one that most men completely ignore. So if you truly want to become a stronger person, mentally, physically, and emotionally, then watch the full video. So without further delay, let's get into the video. Habit number 1, embrace discomfort. See, human brain naturally loves comfort, soft beds, and easy entertainment, and instant gratification. And to be clear, comfort itself is not the enemy, because everyone needs rest. But when comfort slowly becomes your default lifestyle, then something dangerous begins to happen. Your tolerance for difficulty starts to disappear. Then you become less patient and less capable of handling pressure. And over the time, even small challenges begin to feel overwhelming. And weak men often build their entire lives around avoiding the struggle. They avoid hard conversations and they avoid difficult goals. They choose the easy path again and again. But strong men understand something very different. They understand that discomfort is not the enemy. Discomfort is the training ground where strength is built. And every time a man chooses the harder option, like waking up early when he wants to stay in bed, and working when he doesn't feel motivated, and going to the gym when his body feels tired. And in those small moments, something powerful is happening. The mind is becoming stronger, and discipline is growing, and confidence is slowly being built. Because real strength is not created in comfort. It is built in moments of controlled by hardship. Number 2, take responsibility. Imagine 2 men losing the exact same opportunity. Both of them worked hard for it, but in the end, they didn't get it. But the weak man says, the system is unfair, and people are always against me, and nothing ever works out for me. But the strong man says something very different. He asks himself a simple question. What could I have done better? That one small difference changes everything. Because weak men often push responsibility away from themselves. They always blame their parents, boss, country, and bad luck. And blaming the world might feel good for a moment, but it gives you zero control over your future. Because if everything is someone else's fault, then nothing is in your power to change. But strong men think differently. Even when a situation truly isn't their fault, they still ask themselves an important question. What can I learn from this? And what can I improve next time? Because responsibility is not a burden. Responsibility is power. Because the moment you take ownership of your life, then you take ownership of changing it. Habit number 3, growth over validation. See, weak men always looking for approval from others. They want likes, compliments, and recognition. And their happiness depends on what other people say about them. If people praise them, they feel confident. And if people ignore them, their confidence disappears. Because their identity is built on other people's opinions. But strong men are different. They don't build their identity on applause or attention. They build it on progress. Instead of constantly asking, do people like me? They ask a better question. Am I becoming better than I was yesterday? Because real growth doesn't come from approval. It comes from improvement. And men who focus on growth understand something very important. External validation is temporary, but internal progress is permanent. So stop chasing approval and start chasing progress. Habit number 4, build systems. See, motivation feels amazing because when you're motivated, then everything feels like easy. But the truth is, motivation is unreliable because some days you feel unstoppable. You wake up full of energy and ready to work, but other days feel completely different. You feel tired, distracted, and lazy. Even simple tasks start to feel difficult. And weak men rely on motivation. If they don't feel like doing something, they simply don't do it. Their actions depend on their mood. But strong men understand something different. They don't wait for motivation. Instead, they build systems, they create daily routines, and they follow clear schedules, and they develop non-negotiable habits. Because discipline isn't about emotion, it's about structure. And when a man builds strong systems around his goals, his progress no longer depends on how he feels that day. Success stops depending on mood, and starts depending on consistency. And consistency, repeated every day, is what slowly builds real success. Habit number 5, emotional control. See, life will be test every man at some point, like failure, stress, loss. These moments reveal a man's true character, and weak men break under pressure. When things go wrong, they explode with anger, and they panic and lose control. In those moments, they make decisions driven by fear, frustration, or pride, and those emotional decisions often make the situation worse. But strong men respond differently. When pressure rises, they take a moment to breathe. They create space between their emotions and their actions. Not because they don't feel anger, stress, or pain. They feel it just like everyone else. But they refuse to control their behavior. They choose calm over chaos. And that ability is called self-control. Because anyone can react, but very few people can stay calm when emotions are high. And man who learns to control his reactions gains a powerful advantage. Because when you control your reactions, you control your decisions. And when you control your decisions, you begin to control your life. Habit number 6, protect your time. See, time is the most valuable resource for a man, not money and not energy. Because money can be earned again, and energy can be recovered with rest. But time is different. Once time passes, it never comes back. And weak men often forget this. They spend hours scrolling on their phones and watching random videos and complaining about their problems. At first, it feels harmless, but slowly, something dangerous happens. Days disappear, then months, and when they finally look back, they realize something painful. Nothing meaningful has changed in their lives. But strong men treat time very differently. They understand that time is life, so before they spend their time on something, they ask one powerful question. Is this moving my life forward? If the answer is yes, they give it their attention. If the answer is no, they reduce it. And this awareness of time is a quiet superpower, because when a man becomes aware of how he spends his time, he begins to take control of his life. Habit number 7, quiet execution. You've probably met someone like this. They always talk about their big plans, the business they're going to start, and the body they're going to build. But when you see them months later, nothing has changed. The plans are still the same. The dreams are still being talked about, but the action never happens. And weak men love the idea of success. They enjoy talking about their goals and dreams, but they avoid the daily work. That actually creates success. Because real progress is quiet. It requires effort, patience, and consistency. But strong men move differently. They speak less. Instead, they focus on building. While others are busy announcing their goals, strong men are already working on them. And by the time people notice their progress, they are already halfway to their goal. Because in the real world, one truth always wins. Execution will always beat intention every single time. Habit number 8, learn from failure. Failure is uncomfortable. No one likes to fail because it shows you the areas where you are not as strong as you thought. And that is exactly why weak men try to avoid failure. If something feels risky, they step back. And if they fail even once, they off quit completely because they see failure as proof that they are not good enough. But strong men see failure in a very different. They don't treat failure as an ending. They treat it as information. Every mistake becomes a lesson, and every loss becomes an opportunity to grow. And over the time, this mindset builds something powerful to keep moving forward no matter how many times fail. Because strong men understand failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of life. Habit number 9, create, don't follow. Society encourages people to follow the same path and think the same way and live the same routine, like go to school and get a job and follow the system. And most people accept this without ever questioning it. They simply follow the path that everyone else is taking. And weak men follow the crowd because it feels safe. If you follow the crowd, no one criticizes you and no one questions you. But there is also very little growth. But strong men are willing to walk a different path. They question the assumptions that society gives them. They think for themselves, and they make their own decisions. And they create their own direction in life. It's not about rejecting everything. It's about having the courage to pause and ask an honest question. Is this the life I truly want? And if the answer is no, they don't complain and blame others. They begin designing a different life. Habit number 10, self-reflection. This final habit is the one most men avoid, not because it's impossible, but because it's uncomfortable. It requires something many people try to avoid, looking at themselves honestly. Because when you look at your life closely, you start seeing things you don't like your mistakes and your bad habits. And facing these things is not easy. That is why many weak men keep themselves busy all the time, like social media and endless scrolling. They always need something to distract their mind. But strong men do something different. They take time to reflect, and they ask themselves honest questions. Where am I wasting my time? And what habits are holding me back? These questions are not comfortable, but they are very powerful. Because real growth starts with self-awareness. And when a man understands himself, he can start changing them. And that is why self-awareness is so important. Remember this, strength is not something a man is born with. It is something he builds every day through his habits and his choices. Because every strong man you see today started exactly where you are. And the only difference is that he decided to improve one small habit at a time. And slowly, those small changes created a stronger man. So now I want to ask you something. Out of these 10 habits, which one do you recognize in yourself the most? Because awareness is the first step towards strength. And write the number in the comments. And more importantly, decide which habit you're going to start improving today. So if this video gave you clarity, make sure to like and subscribe for more self-improvement content.